Jessica's 10th birthday party. All my relatives and friends were sure that I would propose to her, as I had done in the past. After all, I gave up my family fortune of tens of millions in Jiangnan, left my hometown, and accompanied her back to Shaanxi to start a pig farming business. I pestered her for 10 years just to marry her one day. But she waited until 5 a.m., and I didn't show up in a suit. She only received a text message from me saying we'd break up. In the past 10 years, I raised one batch of piglets after another, but I could never tame Jessica. Now, I don't want her or the piglets she left for me to raise. After 10 wasted years, I decided to leave, and I felt much more relaxed. I booked the next flight back to Miami. Before leaving, I contacted a lawyer to handle the company my parents had opened for me here. This was a new company they set up because they were worried about me being too impulsive and afraid that I would suffer here. All the projects were handled by my father personally, and they were guaranteed to make money. But at that time, Jessica was an outstanding graduate, and she was very proud. She said she would never accept charity even though she had hands and feet. To protect her fragile pride, I lived with her in the countryside, even though the toilet was in an open-air cave. We made a living by raising and selling pigs. Now that I've decided to leave, there's naturally no need for the company to exist. I used the small gold card my parents gave me to contact a lawyer, and everything went exceptionally smoothly. How stupid I was before. The problem could clearly be solved with money. To protect Jessica's humble and sensitive heart, I endured the hardship. Though I was only in my early 30s, I made myself a country bumpkin. When I went home to get my ID and was about to leave, I ran into Jessica, who walked in with a tired face. "Now you remember to look for me. It's too late. Jonathan, don't blame me for not giving you the chance to marry me. I waited a whole day yesterday, but you didn't come. Don't cry and beg me to marry you later." Jessica's tone of questioning me was still so righteous, as if it were a great blessing to marry her. If I hadn't seen the lip prints on her shirt, I might have believed she waited for me all night. Knowing she was with Tom, did I go over to deliver family planning supplies to her? "And Jessica, we have broken up. You are not worthy to marry me." I looked up at her with cold eyes. Jessica frowned and pulled her tie impatiently. "Jonathan, what are you doing again? How many times have I told you that Tom and I are just classmates? It's not as dirty as you think. He accompanied me to wait for you yesterday. The little fragrant pig we raised caught a cold at home. You should go buy some veterinary medicine and come back. I will pretend that what happened yesterday never happened." Jessica said this nonchalantly, unaware of the hickey on her neck that I had already seen. I sneered inwardly. Some women have broken filters and are truly worse than pigs. Though I saw through her, I couldn't help feeling sorrow over the love I had given up. A woman who'd been with me for 10 years could say such words. I turned my eyes to the sycamore tree at the door. In late autumn, it had lost all its leaves, just like the 10 years Jessica and I had spent in vain. When she noticed me looking at her neck, she didn't speak. Her cold eyes suddenly showed panic. She touched her neck awkwardly, then seemed to try to please me. "Jonathan, I know you blame me for leaving you alone to prepare the birthday party the night before yesterday, but you also made me wait a whole day yesterday. This time we're even. Haven't you always wanted me to go back with you to see your parents and talk about our marriage? I promise you, once the investment funds for the farm come through, I'll go back with you and propose to your parents. Okay, stop making trouble and go buy the medicine. You've been raising pigs so long, you naturally know what medicine to give sick pigs. Tom should be anxious after waiting so long." I sneered. Jessica, who is usually taciturn, suddenly became so sweet and gentle. It turns out she only cared for her lover's pigs. Oh no, her lover. I pretended not to hear her and walked around her to leave. "Jonathan, that's enough. I've agreed to marry you. What else do you want?" Seeing I didn't turn back, Jessica kicked the door loudly. I turned back to look at her furious face and smiled faintly. "Jessica, we will never see each other again." Then I turned and left. "Jonathan, Don't regret it, she screamed behind me. I didn't look back. I didn't expect to receive a call from the lawyer as soon as I arrived at the hotel. Mr. Jonathan, we came to the company to finalize the handover based on your submission, but there was a small accident. You'd better come in person to avoid misunderstanding. I was shocked. Jessica had once insisted she didn't want to be looked down upon and had refused to accept the trading company. To focus on the farm, I asked someone to take care of it. That person had been introduced by Jessica. A bad feeling crept into my chest. I rushed over by taxi. As soon as I exited the elevator, I saw the company front desk surrounded by a crowd. Mr. Jonathan, you're finally here. This man claims the company is his and won't let us proceed, the lawyer said, looking to the side. I stepped forward and saw Tom sitting in the boss's chair. I was too shocked to speak. Rage surged through me. I clenched my fists and tried to stay calm. I remembered Jessica attending the ribbon-cutting ceremony of Tom's company shortly after he returned to San Francisco. I was curious what kind of guy could start a company right after returning. Jessica often praised him, so I thought he was ambitious. I didn't expect Jessica, who once refused charity, to give my company to Tom. I forced down my fury and stared at his arrogant face. Just as I was about to speak, Tom spoke first. This is the company Jessica gave me. Why are you here instead of staying at home feeding the pigs? I remember Jessica said you were only good at feeding pigs. Unlike me, who was born to work hard managing the company by day and serving her by night. In the end, you're the one living the easy life. He curled his lips and touched the large diamond ring on his finger as he spoke, his tone full of pride and sarcasm. I took a deep breath and said clearly, this is my company. Please leave now. Upon hearing this, Tom looked me up and down as if he had just heard a joke. Jonathan, have you really grown a pig's brain after spending too much time with pigs? Look at yourself and this companydo, you think you deserve it? After saying this, he raised his hand and called the head of security, Captain Wang. Now even random old women can barge into my company and cause trouble. Is it that easy to earn taxpayer-funded salaries? A chubby man in uniform stepped forward, stood between Tom and me, and motioned for me to leave. I shook off the hand grabbing me. I said, this company is mine. Didn't you hear me? When lawyer Ethan saw the guard didn't recognize me, he quickly presented the documents I gave him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the official legal representative information of the company. It clearly lists my client, Mr. Jonathan. Before he could finish, Tom abruptly stood up and tore the documents to pieces. It was lunchtime, and more bystanders gathered to watch. The economy's bad these days, no wonder we see all sorts of people. Exactly. X Trading was founded 10 years ago. President Jessica and President Tom have always run it personally. Everyone knows that. Who is this clueless guy claiming to be the boss? He must be crazy from poverty. Could he really be someone Jessica brought in? With that outfit, Mr. Tom doesn't look like someone desperate for food. I heard the murmurs around me and felt suffocated. Lawyer Ethan noticed my pale face and quickly helped me toward the window. Just then, the elevator doors opened again and silence fell over the room. Jessica entered, her face cold, but she instantly softened at the sight of Tom. Tom, you're not feeling well. Why did you come to the office? I paused, holding on to the windowsill. We had been together for 10 years, yet Jessica had never spoken to me with such concern. Even when I had a fever and couldn't move, she still reminded me to vaccinate the newly weaned piglets. When Tom saw Jessica, he dropped his mocking tone and said gently, I was just worried you were overworked, managing both the farm and the company. I wanted to help take some of the burden off your shoulders. I stood quietly behind the crowd and watched their affectionate behavior. My emotions were a tangled mess. I couldn't describe what I felt. You're not listening again, Jessica said to Tom, scratching his nose playfully. How many times have I told you I'm handling the company? When will you learn to behave? Tom playfully tugged her ear. Watching the two of them flirt openly, my throat tightened. I used to blame Jessica for being too serious, for not knowing how to joke around like other couples. Whenever I tried to tease her, she would snap at me, "You're not a kid anymore, stop acting so childish." I thought she just didn't like childish games. So I always tried to act mature around her. But now I realize it's not that she disliked childish men. She just didn't like me. She wanted to treat someone kindly. But wasn't I standing right here? Shouldn't she acknowledge me at least? Jessica finally noticed me behind the crowd. Surprise flashed in her eyes, but she quickly masked it and looked indifferent. TSK, she regrets coming here, I thought. Why don't you just go back to feeding pigs? That batch is about to be sold at a good price. If they lose weight from hunger, it's your responsibility. Seeing Jessica's displeased expression, the security guard quickly offered her a cigarette. President Jessica, you're here. Is this the breeder from your farm? Jessica hesitated slightly as she took the cigarette. Her lips moved silently, but in the end, she said nothing. Instead, Tom jumped up and declared loudly, "Yes, he's the breeder from President Jessica's farm. He's here because one of the piglets is sick. Jessica asked him to deliver medicine." Look at you, Jessica. The pigs just sneezed twice and you're already panicking. The surrounding workers began to murmur in understanding. Oh, so he's just a breeder. No wonder he's dressed so plainly. Right, everyone in this building knows how loving President Jessica and President Tom are. Why would she go for someone who smells like animal feed? President Tom, you're lucky. I heard you're going to be a father soon. What a perfect little family. Hearing that, my eyes widened and locked onto Jessica, who had just placed her hand on her belly. No wonder Jessica refused to share a bed with me after her miscarriage. Even after 6 months, she insisted on sleeping in a separate room. I'd been naive, thinking she did it for my benefit. Realizing the truth, I felt like a complete fool. Whatever love I had left completely crumbled. Jessica noticed my stare and quickly withdrew her hand. Jonathan, it's not what you think. Go back now. If you're late, the pigs will go hungry. When I didn't move, her voice grew impatient. Jonathan, are you deaf now? Why aren't you listening? Don't forget you have nothing here except me. Jessica's words were both a threat and a warning, as if daring me to resist. I bit my lips so hard I tasted blood. Just then, my phone rang in my pocket. I answered, "Yes, Building F1, 16th floor. Come up now, please." Jessica's expression froze. Jonathan, what are you doing again? That's enough. Do you have to make such a big deal out of everything? I turned my back to her. I couldn't stand the sight of her anymore. The elevator opened once more. Lawyer Sue entered with a briefcase. Mr. Jonathan, here is the original entrustment contract for your company. Please take a look. I scanned it briefly, then flung the entire document at Jessica's face. Pages scattered across the floor. I pointed at Tom with a look of sarcasm. Jessica, Tom is the trustworthy foreign company executive you always said you would find for me. You are aloof in front of people, but behind their backs, you use my company to serve your sweetheart. Where is your dignity? My words shocked everyone. Someone picked up the scattered single pages on the floor and read them aloud. Jonathan, the owner of the company, Tom, used to work as a receptionist for a foreign company. Tom saw his resume being held in someone's hand and read aloud, and he panicked immediately. He hugged Jessica's arm and hid in her arms. Seeing this, everyone began to whisper, and the eyes they cast on the two of them were no longer full of admiration. Jessica froze in place for a long time. She finally took a step towards me. Jonathan, are you serious? I chuckled and looked at Lawyer Ethan. Lawyer Ethan, 2 things. First, someone illegally occupied my company for their own use. Second, the trustee's resume was falsified. I need to claim compensation according to the contract. Seeing that I was calm and did not back down, Jessica finally lowered her proud head. She gently put her arm around my shoulders and said in a soft voice as if to please me. "Jonathan, Tom is not an outsider. Why make it so ugly? That's enough." I glanced at the hand on my shoulder, took 2 steps back, and patted my clothes unhappily. "I'm sorry, we are not familiar with each other. Tom and you are both outsiders to me. Maybe this is the first time I have distanced myself from you." Jessica's face was obviously embarrassed. Tom saw that Jessica's face was ugly, and immediately came over to her caringly. "Jessica, it's all my fault. If I hadn't come back alone and had no one to rely on, you wouldn't have asked me to come to manage the company, and things like today wouldn't have happened. Sure enough, lover is lover. Just 2 words can make the angry Jessica become gentle immediately. Tom, it's not your fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me for misjudging him. If I had known that he was so petty and only knew how to be jealous, I would never have taken him back to San Francisco." After saying that, he immediately glared at me. "Jonathan, apologize to Tom immediately. It's a broken company. I will let whoever I say manage it. Is it necessary to mobilize so many people?" Lawyer Ethan frowned. "Miss Jessica, although you have been with Mr. Jonathan for 10 years, since the legal person of this company is still Mr. Jonathan, and you have not registered your marriage, and the assets have not been notarized, you have no right to designate a custodian without Mr. Jonathan's approval." This sentence made the people present stare with wide eyes. How many decades can a girl have? 10 years without getting married, but there is a domineering Tom around her. Anyone with a discerning eye can see what's going on. After hearing this, several girls felt sorry for me. "Miss Jessica, so Mr. Jonathan is your boyfriend who has been with you for 10 years, then what is Mr. Tom? You let your boyfriend raise and feed pigs at home for 10 years, and then secretly placed your mistress in your boyfriend's company as the boss. And she's pregnant with his child. Is this something a human would do?" The more they talked, the more excited they became. Some even pointed at Jessica's nose and called her a scum. Jessica was so ashamed that she didn't dare to answer. She just leaned against the floor with a look of dejection. Tom hid behind her and didn't dare to show up. After a long time, seeing that everyone was tired of scolding, Jessica finally raised her head and explained weakly, "It's not what you think. Tom and I are just friends. At the beginning, I saw that he had work experience in a foreign company, and he just came back and was short of a job. Out of consideration, I let him manage the company." A receptionist from a foreign company came to be the company's management agent. Jessica didn't even bother to change her resume. I took Tom's resume, stared at the work experience on it, and sneered, "The outsourced receptionist of a foreign company can also be a management agent. If he is short of work, you can use my annual salary of $1 million to take care of him. Not only did you take care of the job, but you also took care of a child." I didn't expect Miss Jessica to love him so much. Jessica was speechless for a moment, hesitating and unable to speak. At this time, the onlookers saw clearly what was going on. The melons had been eaten enough and slowly dispersed. The security guard stood there scratching his head with an embarrassed look on his face. He didn't dare to drive Jessica away, nor did he dare to offend me, and he didn't dare to leave. After hesitating for a while, she looked at Lawyer Ethan. "Lawyer Ethan, why don't you go in and find a conference room to have a good chat? Standing here will not have a good impact on the company." Jessica's eyes flashed, "Yes, yes, yes, Jonathan, let's go in and talk." She quickly took over the security guard's words, pretending to be flattering, hoping that I would take a step back and save her some face, but in fact, she clamped my wrist and pulled me in forcefully without any explanation. I shook her off and kept a safe distance from her. Seeing that I was unmoved, Jessica's face flashed with astonishment. She was stunned for a moment, then stepped forward and grabbed my hand. "Jonathan, just consider it my fault. I'll explain it to you when I go back. As for Tom, I'll find him another job as soon as possible. After he is settled, I'll tell him not to come here again." Do you think it's okay? She looked at me with burning eyes, as if waiting for a positive answer from me. This gentle and flattering tone must have been very useful to me in the past, but now I just feel disgusted. I raised my hand and slapped her hard on the face. Jessica, I said we should break up, don't you understand? You think I came here to pester you? Then you really overestimate yourself. I didn't come to liquidate my property in San Francisco, but I didn't expect that you would hand over my company to Tom behind my back, and call yourselves the boss and the boss's wife. In the past, I really overestimated you. Do you think I'm still the same as before, so stupid that I believe everything you say? From the moment I said we should break up, I stopped loving you. Even the thought of loving you makes me feel disgusted. Get out of my company immediately and don't affect my sale. Otherwise, don't blame me for not cherishing our friendship. After saying that, I turned around and left without looking back. The moment the elevator door closed, Jessica, who was stunned in place, seemed to suddenly realize something and rushed over to block the elevator door. Jonathan, don't go. Tom followed closely and rushed up. Jessica, it's just a company. Don't we still have a breeding farm? When we get this investment, Jonathan will regret it. I sneered and looked at the two people outside the elevator quietly. Jessica saw my indifferent expression and her eyes froze. She finally realized that my leaving was not just talk. Before this, Jessica must have thought that I was making a fuss on purpose to attract her attention. It's just that the noise was a little louder this time. She had always been so confident. She knew my joys and sorrows very well over the past 10 years, and she had a firm grasp on my feelings. Until she saw me leave indifferently, she finally began to panic. The elevator made a beeping sound, and Jessica didn't intend to withdraw her hand. Jonathan, where are you going? You promised to stay together for the rest of your life. You promised to create a new world with me. How can you leave early? I don't agree, I don't agree. The elevator was still beeping. The people downstairs, who were occupying the elevator, would curse. I frowned impatiently and poked Jessica's hand with a thick document. After all, I found it dirty to do it. Jessica clung tightly to the door, letting me poke a cut on her hand. Looking at the blood oozing out, I thought about how I had always liked her hands the most in the past. I did all the work, like feeding the pigs, myself. I always thought that such a beautiful pair of big hands shouldn't do such things. Thinking about it now makes me sad. Let go. The relationship between two people cannot tolerate a third person. When you accepted Tom again and again, we were over. No, Jonathan, listen to my explanation. There is really nothing between him and me. I smiled. What about the child in your belly? Jessica's eyes suddenly shrank, her lips moved, and then she fell to the ground. The elevator door slowly closed. I saw her figure rushing here through the increasingly narrow gap in the door. You are the man I want to marry. I only want to marry you in my life. The elevator descended floor by floor. Jessica's almost crazy voice came over. I had waited for this sentence for 10 years. Now I finally heard it. I just felt it was too noisy. As soon as I returned to Miami, I asked my father to withdraw the investment in Jessica's breeding farm. They would never have thought that the investment money, which was within reach, was sponsored by my father. Since we have broken up, it is a pity not to squander a lot of money raising pigs. Lawyer Ethan acted quickly. When I received the news that her company had successfully handed over, I was drinking with my brothers. Jonathan, do you want that one in the game later? Sister, do you still want this younger sister? They're both pretty good. My good brother was flipping through the photo album on his phone. With a smirk on his face, he said, fill me up with food. Humph, only children do multiple choice questions. I want both, both. I thought I had finally said goodbye to the past and welcomed a new life. I didn't expect Jessica to come so quickly. When I saw Jessica at the entrance of the club, I almost didn't recognize her. The high-spirited woman seemed to have aged in an instant. She no longer had the previous radiance. When she saw me approaching, her eyes lit up, and she quickly stood up and walked toward me. I subconsciously stepped back. Eric saw my dodge and immediately stood in front of me. "Jonathan, listen to me, I really can't leave you. Come back with me, okay? You are the only one in my heart. Please don't leave me." She moved closer to me while talking. She was as paranoid as a madwoman and was even ready to reach out to pull me. I was shocked. This set of clothes of mine can last her a few years of raising pigs. It will be a pity if they are dirty. Seeing me hiding all the time, she even squeezed out tears from her throat. "Jonathan, what do you want me to do to get you back? If Tom leaves, you can come back, right?" I patted the sleeve she touched, with a look of disgust. "Jessica, you don't think I will go back to raise pigs with you, do you? I was sick before, and I gave up the family fortune of tens of millions and ran to accompany you to suffer. Now I am cured. There is no possibility between us anymore. Please don't harass me anymore. Don't pester me and make me look down on you." Having said that, I thought she would give up, but I didn't expect her to kneel down in front of me and slap herself in the face madly. "I was wrong, Jonathan, I know you must mind Tom. Don't worry, I have already taken care of the child. There is no obstacle between us anymore. I swear, I will treat you well for the rest of my life." Hearing this, I widened my eyes in shock. Before I could react, Tom rushed over from somewhere. He was disheveled and yelled at me, "Jonathan, I knew it was you. You also instigated Jessica to kill my child." I was still immersed in the shock of Jessica getting rid of the child. I was half a beat slow to react. When I regained consciousness, I found that I had a bloody mark on my arm that was scratched by Tom at some point. I gritted my teeth and stared at the red mark on my arm. Before she could make a move, Jessica slapped Tom to the ground. "How did the baby in my belly come from? Don't you know? If you hadn't forced me to drink, I would have mistaken you for Jonathan. How could I have this baby? Tom, you've ruined me." Jessica was furious. Looking at Tom, who fell to the ground, she gritted her teeth at every word. I took a breath of cold air. I never knew Jessica would hit people before. I was secretly glad that she left. Domestic violence is terrible. After she finished speaking, she looked at me eagerly with a changed face. "Jonathan, the child was really a misunderstanding. I drank too much and mistook him for you." The moment Jessica's words reached my ears, I felt my stomach churning. "Jessica, don't disgust me, really. It was just half-hearted. Don't make yourself sound so wronged. I've seen you drunk many times, like mud, and you still gave birth to a child. It's been 10 years. Let's save some dignity for each other. I never thought that the woman who used to be like a star, the woman I pursued for 10 years, would one day look like this. Don't talk about love now." I felt sick even standing next to her. I didn't look at Jessica again and pulled Eric into the club. Later, according to the security guard at the door, Jessica stood outside the door for a day and a night and was finally dragged away by Tom. Although the matter had clearly come to an end, I was always uneasy in my heart, until a month later, Jessica appeared in Miami again. This time, she stood on the street in the city center with a confession sign in a grand manner. When Eric sent me the picture, I was in a trance for a while. I vaguely remembered that once I saw someone confessing in a grand manner on the pedestrian street in Miami, I was very moved. "Jessica, look, someone has confessed. This boy is so happy." Jessica was replying to Tom's message at that time. She just rolled her eyes at me and said that I was childish. Later, the boy rejected the girl, and I regretted it for a long time. I clicked on the picture sent by Eric, and Jessica was just like the girl at that time, carrying 2 large backpacks with densely packed notes on them, and holding a bunch of pink balloons in her hands with, "Jonathan, will you marry me?" printed on them. If it was before, I should have cried my eyes out and rushed to her arms regardless of everything. I nodded my head vigorously and said I was willing. Now when I see the person in the video, I really think he is a bit naive. I ignored him and concentrated on reading management books, preparing to take over the family business. But not long after, a strange phone call came in. "Mr. Jonathan? A woman on the pedestrian street confessed her love to you. It has caused quite a lot of congestion. Our persuasion has been futile. Could you please come over?" I sighed and closed the book helplessly. When I arrived at the scene, there were indeed a lot of people surrounding it. Many children had stars in their eyes when they saw such a scene, just like me in the past. I squeezed through the crowded crowd and appeared in front of Jessica. Jessica's dark eyes finally flashed a glimmer of light. "Jonathan, I know you will come." She ran to me in 3 or 2 steps, and the onlookers also began to gather around. "Jessica, did I not make it clear enough? We ended it a few months ago. Put away your childishness. It's really annoying." The voice was neither loud nor soft, and it just reached her ears. She had red eyes and kept shaking her head. "No, Jonathan, I really know I was wrong. Can you forgive me this time? I beg you." I took a step forward and looked seriously at the woman I had loved for 10 years. I sighed in my heart. "Jessica, go back. Even without Tom, there will be no result between you and me. Over the years, you have only loved yourself. You enjoyed my dedication to you and the help I gave you. Even now that you are standing here, it's only because I left, and you suddenly aren't used to it. It's really not that difficult to admit that you don't love me that much." I said one sentence after another. Jessica's face became uglier and uglier. In the end, she let go of her hand dejectedly. The balloons in her hand flew all over the sky, causing an exclamation. I pointed to the balloon with Jonathan's print on it in the sky and said, "Look, just like those 2 balloons, once you let go, you can never find them again." I thought she finally understood this time, but I didn't expect the familiar paranoia to appear on her face again. "Jonathan, if I catch these 2 balloons, will you give me another chance?" Without waiting for my answer, she pushed and ran to the building next to her. The crowd of onlookers was confused for a moment. It's just that it seems a bit sad that the hero and heroine didn't hug each other. It's such a touching scene, why didn't they end up together? It was also at this moment that I finally understood the mood of the boy who rejected the girl's confession. When you don't love someone, even if she plucks the stars from the sky and gives them to you, it can only move herself and others. For the people in charge, it's just an extra burden. This is what Jessica is like now. When I was about to turn around and leave, the crowd on the side of the street began to scream. I looked in the direction of the sound and saw that Jessica was standing on the rooftop, preparing to catch the balloon that was floating over. Maybe there was no wind today, or maybe the balloon was not inflated enough, which really gave Jessica the opportunity to catch the balloon. It's just that the balloon was very far away and it was not easy to catch it. I rushed forward and told her not to be impulsive, as it was dangerous up there. But no matter how I shouted, she remained unmoved. She just held the loudspeaker and kept shouting downstairs, "Jonathan, wait until I get the balloon, then we will be together." The balloon rose higher and higher. It was impossible for me to renew our relationship, but I also didn't want her to die in an impulsive way. When I hurried to the rooftop, I only saw Jessica's figure rushing towards the balloon flashing in the wind. Then screams came from downstairs. I was stunned for a moment, and the 10 years with Jessica flashed through my mind. When I came to my senses, I didn't take a step forward to check, but went straight home. Maybe she really loved me, otherwise, she wouldn't risk her life to catch the balloon. But I also know that her love is really not much. Jessica didn't fall to her death. The tent of the shop downstairs saved her life. 3 months later, she came to see me for the last time. We sat on the playground of our alma mater from sunset to the starry sky. We just sat quietly until all the dormitory lights went out and the campus was quiet. I got up and prepared to leave. "Jonathan, thank you for your 10 years, and I'm sorry." I paused, looked up at the brightest star, and said, "No matter how bright and beautiful the star is, it's enough to just see it. After all, the sun will always rise as usual." After that, without waiting for her reply, I turned around and left. I can't hate her. After all, I was willing to fly into the fire for 10 years. But for the rest of my life, I will no longer be a moth. I want to be a free bird. The world is vast and quiet for me to roam. The end.